Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are still fervently pushing the word in sincerity and in faith, and Shalom to all the sincere believers. Now, this lesson is going to be primarily based on storms and tempests. And that is one of the perils that are going to take place in these last days, because for those who have been paying attention, there have been a lot of atmospheric rivers, there have been a lot more tornadoes, a lot more hurricanes, more powerful rainstorms or torrential rainstorms leading to flash floods and mudslides. There's been a lot more lightning storms, a lot more hailstorms. And these are signs of the Lord's increase in his judgment. He's turning things up. He's intensifying his judgments. And we see the same with the fires. We see the same with the earthquakes. But this particular lesson is going to be focused on storms and tempests. So through the Spirit, I'm going to get some precepts in Adawan Ratazah. You're edified. 2 Timothy 3:1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. And when you look up the definition of perilous, it means full of danger or risk. And there have been a lot more storms and tempests taking place all over the world. Typhoons, monsoons, hurricanes, tornadoes. And we see what happens. We see the homes getting destroyed, neighborhoods, entire city blocks getting flooded, people dying, power outages, trees falling all over the place. Train tracks get destroyed. Highways have to get shut down. Airports get shut down. All due to the judgment of the Lord. His powerful, destructive, and oftentimes deadly storms and tempests. And the scriptures do tell us that the Lord would visit with storms and tempests. Isaiah 29:6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord Yahweh of hosts with thunder, and with earthquake, and great noise, with storm and tempest, and the flame of devouring fire. And when you look up the definition of tempest, it means a violent windy storm, such as hurricanes or tornadoes. And there have been a lot of hurricanes happening. Jamaica, Haiti, Puerto Rico, and one other place I can't remember recently got hit by Hurricane Melissa. And the Lord, he's not playing around. When the Lord unleashes these hurricanes and these tornadoes, there's a lot of destruction and a lot of people die. But these are signs of the last days, because while hurricanes and tornadoes are nothing new, the frequency of how often they happen and how powerful they have gotten has increased. And that is a sign of the times. Isaiah 28:2. Behold, the Lord hath a mighty and strong one, which has a tempest of hail and a destroying storm, as a flood of mighty waters overflowing shall cast down to the earth with the hand. And like I said, when the Lord sends these, in particular these hurricanes, there's a lot of flooding that usually comes with it. A lot of rain, and especially in areas with poor drainage, the water has nowhere to go, so it just builds. Entire neighborhoods end up basically underwater. Cars submerged underwater, homes submerged underwater, people sitting on the roof of their house waiting to be rescued. It's very scary and it's very dangerous. And this is the time and season that we have entered into. And it's only going to get more scary and more dangerous and more deadly. And that's why those of us of the hopeful elect, we got to stay prayed up. We need the Heavenly Father to keep his hedge of protection over us. Because we know that a lot more destruction is going to be unleashed upon this world. A lot more fires, a lot more storms, tempests, earthquakes, volcano eruptions. And this is all the Lord's judgment. Even though these wicked, simple-minded people will tell you, oh, it's just Mother Nature, or it's global warming, or it's climate change. The scriptures let you know that this is the judgment of the Heavenly Father. Psalms 11:6. Upon the wicked he shall rain snares, fire and brimstone, and in horrible tempest. This shall be the portion of their cup. That's right. So when the Lord unleashes these tornadoes and these hurricanes, that's his horrible tempest that he's unleashing. All the destruction, all the death that's caused from these tempests, that's the judgment of the Lord. That's his wrath, his anger, his fury, his vengeance, his judgment being manifested. Psalms 83:14. As the fire burneth a wood, and as the flame set the mountains on fire. Verse 15. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. And that's exactly what the Lord is doing. Dishing out these storms and tempests. And people are afraid. That torrential rain starts coming down and it doesn't stop, and you just see the water just rising. You hear those powerful howling winds, causing trees to fall over, snapping power lines, power poles just getting torn out of the ground, street lights getting ripped out of the ground, the roof and siding of homes and buildings getting torn off, power outages. Sometimes these lightning strikes can cause fires. Like, it's very terrifying. And there's going to be a lot more of it to come. Hebrews 10:31. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. And we see that when the Lord unleashes his storms and tempests. All the destruction that gets caused, all the death. And there's nothing that these people can do to escape that. A lot of people, when these storms and tempests are barreling down upon them, they just hunker down in their home or wherever they are, in hopes that they can ride out the storm. And a lot of people don't survive. There have been a lot of times, particularly out there in places like Florida, where a hurricane will be about to hit and people will be getting warned, like, hey, pack up what you have to and get out of the way. And a lot of people, they're like, oh, I've survived hurricanes before, I'll be fine. And then that hurricane hits, and it's a lot more severe than any other one that people have experienced. And those people who thought that they were going to survive end up dying. And there have been moments where a lot of people, they thought that they could ride out the storm, and maybe when it first hit, it wasn't that bad, but then it just got progressively worse. And for the people who died, there was more than likely a moment where they realized that they should have left, but they didn't. And that's because, like it says in Deuteronomy 32 and 39, see now that even I am he, and there is no power with me. I kill and I make alive, I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. And so the Lord, he puts the spirit on certain people to stay behind before a hurricane or a tornado hits, and he'll have it on their spirit to think that they can handle it, that they can survive it. Because that person or those people are wicked in the eyes of the Lord. And them getting taken out by a tornado or a hurricane is the judgment that the Lord deemed fit for them. That's why when other people are packing up and getting out of the way, certain people will stay behind. Because the Lord wants them to stay behind, because that's where their story ends. And a lot of people really can't wrap their head around that, because a lot of people have been lied to via Christianity to believe that the Lord just loves everybody. And that has never been the case. Psalm 7 and 11 tells us that Yahweh judgeth the righteous, and Yahweh is angry with the wicked every day. That's why every day people get wounded and killed, men, women, and children, because the Lord is angry with them because they're wicked in his eyes. They may be innocent in the eyes of the people that they're around, but in the eyes of the Lord, they're wicked, because the Lord sees everything that they do. He sees what they do. He hears what they say. And if the things you're doing and are saying are wicked, then the Lord, he's going to judge you. He's going to judge you in whatever manner he sees fit. And there's nothing anybody can do to save you, because no one can stop the judgments of the Heavenly Father from taking place. And in these last days, the judgments of the Lord all across the board are going to get intensified to a degree that the world has never experienced before. And all the people who have been out here scoffing and scorning and thinking everything was a joke, they're going to be very terrified. And there's not going to be anything that they can do. There's not going to be anywhere that they can run. There's not going to be anywhere that they can hide. There's not going to be anyone that they can call. It doesn't matter if they have a bunker that they've created. It's not going to save them. Because anything that man builds, the Heavenly Father can break. And a lot of people are about to find that out in the worst ways possible in these last days. And that will merely be them reaping what they've sown, for provoking the Lord unto wrath. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. In closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory Unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. The Wadi Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are still fervently pushing the word in sincerity and in faith, and shalom to all the sincere believers. Hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up, and Adawan Ratazah. Until next time, shalom.